Okay, hello everybody, welcome back. Let's get the ball rolling. Let's launch all this stuff. Let's see. Yes. Okay, so here's what I am thinking. We have these 4 pedestals. I'm thinking of putting them behind a gate and then having the player like whack a lever of some kind in order to open the gate. And that will open the maybe like a drop-down gate type deal. And then we'll be able to go through to the other side and deposit the cube into the space. That's what I'm thinking we can do here. So this means we'll reinforce the idea that you gotta whack something in order to interact with it. Okay, I'm just gonna open up the stream so I can see the chat. The chataruni. There we go. Cool. Okay. We will have to move around a whole bunch of this stuff, however. Right. And we have to fit it all within one view too. Okay. Let's create a clipboard thing. You there. All right. Get my drawing apparatus. Mm-hmm. These are the base. Mm-hmm. You know what? Let's do more. There we go. Something wide. Okay. This is not a tile. This is a sprite. Which we don't have a folder for that, so we'll just save it here. Okay. Okay, now I'm not going to just copy the frame. I'm going to redraw everything for this second pose, because that is what makes it look better. Okay, the next frame is going to be pretty quick. We're actually going to have these things descend at different rates. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm gonna automate the glow, the shading with the inner glow. Give it dark blue, normal, and then very small size. Matter of fact, maybe a little bit of noise too. Mm-hmm. Nice. Okay, that looks good. We're gonna crop this, export the animation. Okay, to render this out. Render, there we go. Frames, okay, gate. By the way, we never implemented the animation for the iron ingot because we ended up just reusing the generic, what is it? The generic item object that only displays a static image. Okay. Gate. Render. Okay, next, we need another thing. We need a switch. A switch with which we can open the gate. Need to make sure that it's not too big. Handle. So we know that the handle needs to be over here. Looks like a big turd at the moment. It will need to traverse through there. And then we're just going to make some in-betweens. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. There we go. Looks a little interesting. I could have animated it from top to bottom, to be honest, but whatever. Hey. Greece. Good day. Doing all right. How about yourself? I'm just trying to get some work done here. Okay. Assets. This is tutorial lever. Save it. Render animation. I guess it's okay to be doing just regular frame by frame animations for this. What is this game? If you've seen me work on any of my past games, you might recognize this is a Witch of Endor, the bird's eye view, protect the cauldron type game. Okay. I'm just working on the tutorial section. Okay, and I need a proper color selector here. Nice. Still working it out? Yep. Absolutely no reason to be switching. Export, render animation. There we go. Okay, tutorial lever. Yep, overwrite. That's good. And beautiful. My current plan is while my main development gear is packed up, I can't work on any of the large projects in the capacity of programming or really doing heavy lifting. So I'm just taking this time to um, work out the script because that's going to be the guidance for what we're going to be working on for the rest of the game. And I've been putting it off for long enough while I work on the core gameplay mechanics, but that's pretty much by and large established. So now I figure I'll get the script out of the way and then we can focus on the core gameplay. And in the meantime, I can wrap up these side projects that have been littering my drive. They're completed enough to the point where I should probably just, commit a few weeks into them and then get them cranked out, push them to Steam, and then actually be able to say that I am able of finishing games. looking to looking to move out from Canada. Yeah, it's the general consensus between me and my friends who are generally on the same page. Just the country is no longer representing my views and my interest, and with the way it spends my tax dollars without the country actually feeling like it's improving. That's kind of the biggest thing. There's ideological issues that I do not agree with, and I don't want to support with my workforce, with raising kids here, thus providing to the population of the country. I don't want to give them my resources if they don't want to represent me and my interests. So, yeah, that's like it didn't used to be like that. I was much more in line with what the country stood for, 10 years ago. And we got here 20 years ago. So that's just the general consensus on the matter. Okay. What do we got here? Right, so I need to establish this interactable. We're gonna do 2D. Okay, so tutorial, lever. Animated sprite. Whoa, I don't think we're supposed to render that much. Hold on a second. Okay. Render animation, tutorial lever. Considering moving and learning Godot engine, people tell it's a good engine. Want to start learning it after I'm done with your RPG Maker project. Yeah, I mean it's going to be a pretty good upgrade from RPG Maker. The funny thing is you can make RPG Maker style games in Godot engine, but you'll be able to create things that are more catered towards your project. And yeah, I kind of landed on Godot after having messed around with a whole bunch of other engines and feeling how they are. Objects. Tutorial. Yes. Tutorial lever. Cool. So, actually, you know what? I need to change to a static body because then we can interact with it easier. Let's do collision shape. The collision shape. I need to move this up so it's more lined up to the center. Collision shape is going to be I think a circle will do just fine. About this big. I wonder if we are able to scale this and still have it be accurate. I don't know. I doubt it. It doesn't work in 3D. It might work in 2D. Used to work in Construct. Okay, some engines make it really easy to do fluid and cool shit. Yeah, so the Godot engine's like bright and shining feature is just the sheer speed with which you can prototype things. Because I used to work in Game Maker Studio, and the everything is either done in code or in a pretty ass backwards way, using some like hidden menus in places where they don't really belong. So it's yeah, the engine that starts out with a code only engine tends to implement very shoddy workarounds once they start thinking, okay, how can we make this more accessible to other people? And Godot engine seems to have been designed in a way that addresses that from the get-go, which is why I really like to use it. Okay, let's see. We need to be able to interact with this thing. Vending machine is in a group called No Foliage Object Group. What the heck? What's that for? Whack area. Vending group. Okay. I might want to make it damageable, to be honest. Oh no. No. We have, hold on. There's the whack group, isn't it? We have whack area. It's on layer 7. Shops. Shops, we don't have interactables. Okay, let me take a look at the player. I really should have made like a generic whackable group or something. Actually, it's not going to be in the player because the player spawns in a slash, which is what actually interacts with objects. Here we go. So, is overlapping bodies melee damageable group? Yeah, I could just do that. Perfect. So go to tutorial lever. Put it in a group. I'll make it a global group so it shows up everywhere. Group already exists, which is right here. Beautiful. Okay. You're like the easing that squish and stretch engines do automatically. Yeah, for sure. There's the tween nodes, or not the nodes, but the tweens you can create in code. You can tell them to easily animate some very simple properties without you having to like hand animate everything in timelines. So yeah, like for example, I have this really cool, well, subjectively speaking, I have this totem statue pedestal. There we go. So this pedestal, there's a cube that the player drops and it kind of lifts up, goes here, and then drops into the slot. And it's literally like just create a tween and then tell the tween, talk to the cube that I just dropped, and then adjust its position. First go here over the course of this many seconds, and then apply this kind of easing and transition to make it smooth. And then go here, then go here, then go here, and then run this function when you're done. So if I were to run this, there we go. Oh, invisible collision shapes, right. Okay, so B. Still need to get the other sounds in here. Just gonna get rid of that. Okay. Right, so yeah, this sounds loud as heck. Hold on. Oh. Okay. 3. God dang it. Playing in windowed mode without confining the mouse. There we go. And we'll take that. And then that, if I throw it this way, there we go. Snap, snap, go here, and do that. And then this is done by setting this transition type, elastic, cubic. So if you need some very simple animations, you can do that quite easily using this. And, you know, like all it is just duplicate the line a couple of times. Didn't have to write it out all by myself. Have you tried RPG Maker? I've looked at RPG Maker in its very, very early stages before I messed around with Game Maker Studio and Godot Engine. I never had an RPG style game to make, so it never made sense for me to give it a try. I do have some licenses for them, a couple of versions of RPG Maker, but again, having learned this, there's no point in doing RPG Maker. So yeah. I did use Game Maker Studio though, if you were looking at me. No, 2021's probably been Godot Engine already. Like way, way early, like 2018, maybe 17, 16. You probably see me work in Game Maker Studio. Okay, so tutorial levers. So this is gonna be damageable group, right? And then it is going to run the damage function. So tutorial lever, attach a script to it. Scripts, there we go. Okay, there we go, get damage. Now we're not actually going to be dealing any sort of damage. As a matter of fact, we're only going to make the animation play. Which, what's the name of the animation? Default. Called flip. Okay. There we go. Cool. And then I'm just gonna pop it into the level. We have a lot of places, a lot of objects here. Okay, right. We'll have to probably make extra space, or we might have to make these urns drop more than one thing. More than one piece. Global position, item, right. Okay, we need to instantiate. Okay, you know what? One thing at a time. I am going to make static body. This is going to be a gate. Animated sprite. Call it open. It is not a looping animation. Call it, yeah, gate. That's fine. Tutorial lever is also not a looping animation. Okay, so this goes down. This doesn't actually get interacted with shape. So position it right here, give it a collision shape. You want to check out your games? I am a little busy right now. Trying to get this stuff done. Let's see. Animated sprite. Place this here. We're going to give it a script. Gate GD. Okay, let's make func trigger. We're going to make a function called trigger, and that is going to tell the animation to play. And when the animation is done, which we can know based on the signal, animation finished, we're going to disable the collision shape. disable true. Now, it's funny you say that the same thing I'm feeling here in Canada is what you're saying you're feeling in Russia, but I'm actually looking to move over to Russia or Belarus. It's where my family roots are. And when I talk to our family members, they don't seem to complain about the ongoing events, so to speak, or the political situation. So it's an interesting conundrum. Who knows? Either it's gonna go very well, or it's gonna open my eyes and I'll realize my mistake. So who knows? Maybe things here aren't as bad as I'm claiming they are, and maybe I just got a little too comfortable. But I feel like this is something I have to experience for myself to really feel it. Okay, so we're gonna get tutorial lever. We're going to give this an ability to interact with something. Where is this magical insert key that I just clicked? The heck? Oh, right, insert. There we go. Let's do var, or actually no, it's an export. Export node path. This is gonna be var targets, and then it's gonna be specifically an array of node paths. Now here's a question. Do I have to keep it as export node path, or can I just do this? Because it seems like I could just do this. Okay, so when the flip, this is the tutorial lever. Is it tutorial lever? No, this is the gate, excuse me. Tutorial lever, I'm gonna go here. Targets. When we damage it, it will flip. And when it is done flipping, we're gonna do for target in targets, or I guess maybe in each target. We're gonna get node and then trigger. Run the trigger command. Corruption and like shitty management from higher ups and global natural problem. Yeah, you know what? The corruption thing is a global issue. It's not isolated to just any country. Because here in Canada, the liberals are fucking up the country like there's no tomorrow, and just there's so much money laundering happening. It is not even funny. None of it is going back to Canadians. Like, there's no new systems, new jobs, new industries opening up. It's just constriction, contraction, and just erasure of your private rights, even privileges. Little systematics, tiny step by step. It's just infuriating so much, man. There is no utopia. Yeah, everywhere is gonna have its own problems. I guess it's just, pick whichever problems you want to deal with. Okay, so let's give this a quick test. I think I know what's gonna happen with the lever switch. You might be able to trigger it multiple times. Lever. I'm gonna position this outside. Drug business applications and scams. Sheesh, man. Yeah, there's no jobs here in Canada either. They're either placeholder jobs so the businesses can write them off as if they are still searching for employees for whatever bullshit write-offs they get to do. Or they're like unreasonable entry-level jobs with decades of experience type deal. Okay, so that's the lever. Now we need the gate. Okay, so we're gonna place this right here. Feel like maybe this should be something that I teach the players first before they get access to the vending machine. That means I don't need this. Nice. Okay, so where's the switch? There's the switch. Position this right here. This I'm going to position right there. Okay, get this out of the way. Okay. Now, we're going to tell this gate to be targeted by this element. Things look very bleak. Yeah, man, it is interesting just how many parallels we have here in Canada, and I suppose in your case in Russia. Although there might be different kinds of bleak. We're looking at the case of unaffordability, where everything is too expensive to live comfortably and even think about starting a family and stuff. Okay, there we go. Nice. That looks good. That's too slow, though. Let's increase that to like 24. Tutorial lever. 24. Might even give it a bit of a wiggle. Nice. Okay, yeah, let's give it a wiggle. It's got to be more cartoony. Let's do 10 times delta. Wiggle will be a sign with this. And then we're going to multiply by 0.2. We are going to talk to the animated sprite. Scale 1 plus wiggle, and then 1 minus wiggle. And we have to have a control variable, wiggle amount. So we're going to control it by multiplying it. And then when we trigger it, set it to 1.0, and then it's going to slowly transition multiple equals 0.96. It's going to slowly transition back to 0. This time might be shortened, unless we can implement some interesting things happening in the background. Nice. Okay, yeah, as you can see, we can interact with it multiple times. Wait. Wait. The wrong thing is wiggling. Hold on a second. Hey. That's not what I wanted to do. This is the gate. Wiffle amount also. Right, switching to a scene doesn't switch to that script anymore. Gotta get used to that. Okay, and then wiffle. When we damage it, it becomes 1.0. And then we need to make it so that it only happens once. So I could disable the collision shape. There we go. I am thinking that maybe while I'm stuck with on my laptop, I could potentially work on an RPG Maker style game. I wouldn't use RPG Maker to make it, but it would be a game that's primarily story driven. Okay, that technically works, but didn't work quite the way I needed. You know what? We're gonna do this. We're gonna instead use a tween. T.tween property. The object, animated sprite. The property will be, actually no, self. We're adjusting one of our own variables. The value is 0.0 over the course of 1 second. And the speed of the wiggle has to be a lot faster. And the wiggle center point has to be from the bottom here. B. Mm-hmm. There we go. Except it's got to dissipate a little bit faster. Half a second. We need some kind of an effect here when the character gets spawned in. Oh, okay. You can see that glitchiness right there. Oh, and we're stuck. This is why we never scale collision shapes. So, yeah. All right. Just do it like this. Nice. Okay. Yep. So let's make the urns spawn multiple things here. Let's see. Damage it. 4x. I guess we can choose anywhere between what? Let's do between 3 and 5. Actually, between 2 and 3 will be fine. Okay. So amount equals rand integer range between 2 and 3 for x in this number. We're going to run this, and we need to make them spawn in different directions. Oh, we already have amount here. var spawn amount. Okay. Hmm. Doesn't the item dropped item have motion in it? Move, yeah, look at that. And then velocity is depleted here. So we just have to give it some velocity and it should go in that direction. Okay. Cool. So new item velocity is going to be vector 2. And now we need to make it go in a particular direction. So let's do A for angle is going to be 360 divided by however many we are going to spawn multiplied by the number of the item that we have just spawned in. First one, second one, third one. And then we do cosine. Here's the angle. And then sine. Here's the angle. And then we're going to multiply this by, let's say, 100. That's going to be the speed. And now that should make them fling in various directions. Okay. Nice. Okay, that's much better. Okay, we don't want that to happen. So, let's see. This thing exists on layer 5. So, I'm going to go into the level and then tell this static body to exist on layer 5. And this one as well. Okay, right. We need to run the proper scene. Oh. Or I should pay attention that I accidentally wrote S in the code. You know, since we're doing this, we should probably tell these gates to also exist on layer 5. So things don't just traverse through parallel dimensions. This is fence V. We also have fence H. There we go. Vending machine should probably also... Oh, there we go. Block the player or block the items. Okay. Come on. Nice. Okay. Perfect. Yeah, that works. This needs to be on the other side of the vending machine. Or I should just place the vending machine on the side that isn't going to make it block the view. Mm-hmm. Okay. Right, which means we can actually keep the totems here. You can swap them places. Keep them right smack in the center. Okay. I see that's not supposed to be happening. So in layer 5, maybe it has to detect layer 5. Dropped item. It does have a collision shape. Oh, it's not seeing stuff on layer 5. Right. We don't want to place it on layer 1 because everything else is there. And the items shouldn't be colliding with everything. Okay. Let's do another layer. This is going to be item blockers. Like that. This is 8. So it's going to be existing on layer 8. Okay, we can update this. Vending machine, layer 8. There we go. Which means dropped item should scan layer 8. Have you played Lisa? I'm not familiar with that game. What's your favorite game and game genre? Favorite game genre would be anything that mixes sci-fi mystery. Maybe some post-apocalyptic features. So sci-fi mystery probably be the main ones. Detective mystery, sci-fi mystery, horror. Well, horror is just if it's just horror, then no, because there's plenty of horror games that are just horror games. When you mix horror and sci-fi, that's just perfect. Favorite game? No such thing. I'd have to stop playing games in order to have a favorite game. There's probably gonna be some game that's gonna come out at some point that's gonna impress me. Right now, one of my top most favorites would be Outer Wilds. Yes. Just because of the way that game delivered story and mystery, uh, without like over budgeting the spectacle and trying to make some kind of a large blockbuster. Okay, can we test the collisions here? Come on. Only problem is that once you've played Outer Wilds, you're kind of done. You have to wait like half a decade or a decade to forget about everything you discovered, which is kind of difficult when the game is that impressive. And yeah, if it's a game that I can constantly come back to, I'd say the Fallout series. Nice. Okay, so that is blocking. Okay. Which means, yeah, we actually need to make this thing spit it out on the right side. Nice. Okay, that works. You know what? Let me adjust or expose the stamina subtraction. Let's see. Chosen method melee. So this is where we attack the melee, and then this is where we actually lose stamina. Okay. So I'm gonna do this. Let's make a export variable. Stamina melee cost. It's gonna be equals to 8 by default. Even though technically we should be able to adjust our stamina usage. No, what we upgrade is how much stamina we have, not how much usage we exert. Okay, stamina max, warning wiggle time, and then, okay, so what is this? This is the machete. Have I ever monetized my games? All of my games that are currently out are on Steam. It's just that as an unknown developer, it's kind of difficult to focus on marketing, especially when the games that I have right now are either very niche music mini games, very small games, or a game that has been out for on early access for like close to a decade now. It's like Pirate Software 2.0 over here. uh, yeah, it's just one of those things. It's my original project. I'm not gonna call it my magnum opus. Fuck that. My magnum opus is far, far, far in the future. But it's a project that I've made and remade and then scrapped and started from scratch. It's like the whole project is basically my learning experience history. So, yeah, can't really, monetize or advertise that project because as it is right now, it's close to like 6 to 7 years old. That particular build, um, finishing up the new version of that project and pushing out to Steam is one of my goals right now. To get that up and running as soon as I finish this and get out of the way. Again, it's this year. The New Year's resolution for this year is wrap the fuck up all the stuff that I've started that can be wrapped up in the span of a year. So that's at least that's the hope and the plan. Okay, there we go. So we're gonna subtract this variable here, and then when we spawn in the player, we're actually gonna adjust this variable so that for the sake of the tutorial, the cost for melee is much smaller. Let's see. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna make sure that this is a float so that we can adjust it. Okay. So what do we use to spawn the player here? It's the prompt. There we go. Canvas frame, prompt. There we go. So we instantiate the player. My player dot stamina cost is going to be 3 for this one. And then we got to do it twice because one for the controller and one for the keyboard and mouse. There we go. What would you advise people who are trying to do? Focus on Steam. Just push your game on Steam. Yes, it costs $120 to push your game to Steam, but that money is given back to you once you surpass like $1,000 of sales, something along those lines. So it's just Valve's security to make sure that people aren't just putting up slop, because if they are, then it's going to cost them more in the long run. So just focus on Steam, because in the beginning you just want to focus on like one platform, and Steam is the best one by far. Whoops. Okay, what am I testing here? Right, stamina. Nice. Perfect. I might want to move those out of the way. You know what? For the sake of not breaking anything else, I'm just going to move these into this area. Pretty sure we have more than enough urns to warrant this. Should you make free games first, like the whole comprehensive guide? There's no whole comprehensive guide. Just make a game, and if you want to make it free, make it free. If you want to make it paid, make it paid. I don't particularly see a point in making free games first. Just it is a thing that people do, and it is a thing that some gamers will be the basically say, okay, you made a free game and it's a really cool game, you put a lot of effort into it, here's some money, right? So if you have to make like a very, very good product for that to be the case. So it's really up to you. I wouldn't say that one strategy is better than the other. Like Doki Doki Literature Club developers have basically made a free game, and then they published Doki Doki Literature Club Plus, which is like $14, and people just went ahead and bought it. Okay, there we go. Man, I need to do something about this interface. It's not good. Shadow. Okay. Shadow offset Y. Okay, well, why can't we see it? Shadow offset X. Light spacing. Shadow outline. Okay, I gotta say, something screwy has been happening with the font system in Godot as of the last few updates, because the new line character does not work. So if I do /R or N, right, doesn't work. I actually had to write a conversion line which basically takes like something /N and replaces it with /R in code, and that makes the new line actually appear. So now I'm noticing that it also doesn't seem to do the font anything. Apparently. Nothing in the font is working now. What? Oh, hold on. Maybe it's because we're setting the font paragraph separator /n. Interesting. Yeah, maybe it's because we're using label settings instead of the proper thing. Could be copy. Let me try something. So we'll do /n and then get rid of this. And then it doesn't work. Right, okay. The font is updating, but this one does not. So interesting. So if I'm setting this here, then I have to do so within these settings. And then there it is. Okay. Offset. There we go. All right. Vending shop. Now, vending item. Vending machine item. We're going to change type to a panel container. Actually, no. No. And we screwed this up. Just panel. Change type, panel. There we go. We just need some nice presentation here. That's all I'm looking for. Style box flat. Give some transparency. Border radius. $15. Okay, maybe something like this. Could work potentially. Can we disable anti-aliasing here? Although, I don't know if that's going to be such a good idea. Let's try this. Okay, I think that's too many urns. Okay, that is broken. Why is... Ah, okay. This was over here. And the item was over here. But that does look a little bit better. Okay, cool, except it's kind of covering things up here. This is where being able to set the Z index of the item would have been perfect. But last time I checked, this wasn't a feature. But apparently now it is. So we have Z ordering of 0. So I could say that the active item is going to have Z ordering of 1, which would make it appear at the top. Always. Okay. So let's go here. As you can see, the selected state, shop icon, shop item icon, scale. That's the, I don't know what the hell that is. That's the wrong script. There we go. Okay, so we're looking for a for loop because we're doing this to all the items. Ready. Okay, no for loop. This is the process function. I think this might be it. Update parts count. Selected item gets advanced, and then based on the selected item, we must be doing stuff. This is where we advance it and move it back. This is where we item key. We get the item key. We must be scrolling this stuff somewhere. New item, purchase. This is where we purchase it. So we're not looking for purchasing. It's got to be here. Oh, you know what? I know exactly what's up. The item is the one that adjusts its modulate. As you can see, it gets the owner, which is the vending machine itself. It selects the reads its selected item variable and checks if it is matching its own. And then the selected property is what makes it be highlighted or not. So we can do this then. We can do z index equals 1 if selected, else it is back to 0. Now, if this works, honestly, I'm going to be quite glad. That up. Yes. Yes, dude. Yes. This is working perfectly. Man, I wish this was already in when I was making the card system for Child of Ether. God, man, the ordering, there was such an issue with ordering which card has to be on top. There's a deck of cards. When you move your mouse, the closest card to the mouse is the one that gets highlighted as the front one. But it's such a pain in the ass because I didn't have Z-index available in the user interface nodes. It was only for any node to D node. So the thing that I had to do was, in order to make the deck appear in the proper order, which is where the frontmost card is at the top of it, I had to create all the cards in reverse, which means I also had to animate them in reverse. So the first card would actually have the index of the last card in order for it to animate properly. And every single thing that had to do with cards and appearing, for a card to be appearing in the particular order, I had to always account for the order to be in reverse. Because the node at the bottom was always rendered above everything else. And it was such a pain in the ass, because it means the very first card in the deck was at the very bottom of the deck. So I had to create them in reverse and do all that nonsense. This would have been just so helpful. Which now kind of makes me think, am I going to have to redo this thing? Okay, let's do this. 36... This is a position on the x-axis. This position also on the x-axis. Where's the position on the y-axis? There isn't one. Position. Yes, it's probably done in the vending machine. Position, UI to glow position, right here. 32, might have to do like 36 or something. And yes, not to worry, Child of Ether is still the project I need to finish. That I am going to finish. I've started too many projects when I had plenty of time. And now I don't have as much time. So now I have to prioritize. And I prioritize to wrap the smaller fry. Okay, that's still not quite right. 36. Let's do 50. Let's go nuts. Actually, hold on. Item. What is this? Generate label preload. General label preload. That's not really the proper thing that I'm supposed to be setting. This is for purchasing. Again, I'm looking in the wrong place. Where do we instantiate this stuff? Here. You know what? I think items. We have a node here, which is a VBox container, which has a separation constant here. Hold on a sec. Item. So it's not a code thing that I'm supposed to be setting. It's this. There we go. Nice. Okay. So now the separation looks good. Okay. Maybe we should make the broken pieces, broken urns disappear after a certain time. Let's do this. Var t equals create tween. We're going to tell the tween to tween property self modulate alpha. It is going to do so to the final value of 0.0 over the duration of 3 seconds. We're going to set the delay to 5 seconds. And then at the end, we're going to call tween callback queue free, which should destroy the object. Okay, kind of a quick one. Okay, there we go. Okay, this is still trying to spit it in the wrong direction. Item drop left is off. So it should be dropping it to the right. Interesting. Okay. Right. So let me get this stuff propagated to the other player sides. Okay, I'm not sure how it's selecting a vending machine. Like, Okay, this stuff. Just gonna place that road there. Okay, this gate is called gate 2. Duplicate this. Gate 3. This one's a little cramped. Okay, this is where I need to move the vending machine. This is gate 4. Nice. Okay. Now. Need to cluster these things closer together. I need to get the membership for Zapsplat again. Because there's going to be some sound effects that we'll need to place. And that has been by far the best source of sound for my projects. Like that 1 month subscription, even a couple of months subscription was well worth the value. Which is kind of rare for subscription services. Okay. There we go. Nice. Okay, I've got 3 controllers and keyboard and mouse. I think we should be able to test this. But I have to connect everything. Hold on. And this is actually where I might have a bit of a problem. Don't have enough USB ports. Unless I disconnect the mouse, use the trackpad. Mm-hmm. It's connected. Third controller. Okay. Oh yeah, the mouse doesn't work. Okay. So, X, Y, and B? Yes. Nice. The second player still opens the inventory. We can actually make that not be the case by just automatically setting the variable for the inventory open back to false by the object that spawns it in. At least I think that's what we can do. Okay. 1, 2, 3. 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And then right click on the trackpad. Nice. Okay, alright, everybody pile in. Okay, I gotta focus on one player at a time. Okay, so first of all, cannot go through. Hit the object. Nice. Second, there we go. Although the ordering is a little off. I think that switch is not a part of the content, so it's not being Y sorted. There we go. And then this guy. Everybody's in. Hit it. There we go. Okay, now. Nice. I'm not sure why it spits it out. Downward. Oh, you know why? I know exactly why it's doing it. We enabled collisions on the vending machine so that the items wouldn't go through them, but now the items are literally colliding and not moving. Okay. Alright, here we go. Drop that in. Okay, now can I pick that up? I can. Shit. Okay. Whoops. Shouldn't be able to do that. Okay. Nope. There we go. Right. Okay. Well, since we're here. Still managed to run out of stamina. Okay. Get the last one. Interesting. If I'm using the trackpad and the keyboard at the same time, the keyboard actually disables the trackpad because it thinks I'm typing. That's interesting. Not an intended effect, I imagine. Can we scroll? Yes, we can. A little awkward, but we can. Oh. Okay, and then... how do we... Oh, scroll very carefully. And then Q. There we go. Goes in. And then camera is released. Perfect. Now, how should we transition the players from here? Okay, let me actually fix the issues first. Controller goes out. Mouse goes back in. Vending machine. Okay, you don't do that anymore. So we need to make it so that the item, dropped item, cannot be interacted with after having been picked up. We have a picked up variable here that is set to true. This is probably why. If picked up, return. because I think we already did this. The pedestal, cube pedestal, when it detects an item, inserted becomes true. The body is the variable. Picked up becomes true. There we go. So it was the player ignoring the fact that the item has been picked up. Okay, that's good. That's fine. B. Man, these 8-bit Do controllers are solid as shit. I swear to God. $30, and they feel very sturdy. Much sturdier than the Xbox or the PlayStation controllers. Okay. Then we drop it. Okay, so I can hit it and it detects a hit, but it doesn't do anything. So maybe we're actually gonna do something else. We're gonna do func disable interaction. Func disable interaction. The way we're gonna do it is by disabling the collision shape. Interesting thing, I've started leaning more on disabling the built-in properties rather than creating separate variables for negating the functionality a lot more as of late. It's already there, why not make use of it, type of thing. Okay, just gonna do this. Yes. Actually, we're gonna do both, just in case. There we go. B. Mm-hmm. Nice. And then, interesting. We can still detect it. Why? Disable interaction. Disabled becomes true. I don't see any other collision shapes here. Unless, are we interacting with the pedestal? No, we weren't anywhere near the pedestal. It's not a part of any groups. Oh, maybe. Right. It's the classic. Cannot change the state of a collision shape while processing the area or body entered signal. Got it. Okay. Okay. Can we then tell it to do something like call deferred and then tell it to run this function? I don't know if this will work. Maybe. Let's see. I don't think I've ever tried to call deferred or tell another object to call deferred a function in that object through another object. Okay. Okay. Call. Invalid non-existent function call deferred from base character body to D dropped item. Call deferred is spelled with one F. One F, two R's. There we go. Okay. Let's try that again. We gotta add some particles to these attacks, man. You know, I tend to overthink the tutorials. Like, I've taught the player that they can use melee to break the... to interact with the switch, but are they smart enough to know that they can use melee to break the urn? I don't know, man. Okay, there we go. And I cannot interact with it because call deferred actually did its job. But I do see some errors. Change state. Okay, same idea. Can change state while flushing queries. Use call deferred or set deferred to change monitoring state instead. Uh-huh. So this has to do with detecting the cube, even though it seems like it worked. But this has to do with detecting the cube and then transferring it to make it become a child of self. Okay. Okay, can I just do... Which line is it specifically? It's this one. Call deferred. Run the add child function. Okay, I saw the suggestion there for a second. Add child, and then pass along body into it. So we have 3 errors here. Let's see if this will fix it. Whoops. I wonder if I call deferred on the creation of the player. Is it going to... is it gonna spawn it after the keyboard or the inventory shortcut? I need to move that to the other side. So that when the player spawns in, he doesn't attempt to open the inventory. Okay, that still doesn't fly. Oh, that definitely did not work. Probably because global position was not correct, but it didn't crash. So that's lovely. Could we perhaps... So this is going to be an issue because everything here runs right away, but this runs after the frame. So we might have to make a function, make cube child. Okay. We're going to follow or forward the body into it. There we go. And then here, we're just going to do add child, like we usually do. Body, and then let everything else run by itself. And then here, we'll do call deferred, run this function, and then send body into it. All right. See if this fixes the problem. Okay. Nice. Okay, it did it. I can't interact with it anymore. It seems to be ordered correctly on the Y sword. Cool. All right, that solves that little problem. Now, I have a couple of objects here that are not part of the Y sword, specifically these levers. These flags is gonna, well, these flags are gonna be outside of the Y sword. We don't need them sorted. They always need to be on top of everything. We're gonna take this, place this right here. Static bodies are invisible. Borders are invisible. Nice. Cool. Well, the only thing that we need to do here, cam zone back. Where's this node? It's right here. Okay, so the only thing we need to do here is figure out what happens after all of these things have been placed. I feel like I could have another island just fly up here, but I also feel like we could probably just have the players. Interesting. Um, hmm. I feel like we could wrap up the tutorial by having another island here with a cauldron in the middle. And then the players would have to bring something to the cauldron. Now, but they'll think that it's just a teleport thing. Teleport gimmick. If they bring stuff to the cauldron and then it teleports them to the main level, they'll think, okay, well, there's another cauldron there, but we don't need to worry about it because whatever. What else do we need to teach the player about? I don't know. Let's get a particle for the painting damage. There we go. Nice little rotating thing. And son of a gun, I drew this on the background. And you see for something like this, because we're going to be using this as a particle, we're actually going to need to export this as a sprite sheet. Okay, so this is painting damage. Do I have a particles? We do have a particles folder. Okay, tools, export. We don't have the plugin for this. Krita sprite sheet. Okay, let's get this out. I guess we'll just bundle it with our game assets. What do we have here? Plugins. Import Python plugin. Yes. Get that restarted. And now we can go, you know, we probably don't even need this to be 16 pixels, except for maybe the first frame. How much is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh yeah, probably need to be. All right. Very well. Export sprite sheet. Change directory. Engine. Sprites. Particles. Painting. Damage. Nice. Okay. I'm gonna temporarily take this, place it here. We just need it for size reference. It's going to be GPU particles. Texture. Painting damage. Process material. Okay, that should be good. Material, canvas material. Animation. And then this is, what, 3 by 3 by how many? 3 by 3 by the looks of it. Okay. Cool. Go back here. Display, animation. Minimum speed is 1. There we go. Next, spawn. It's going to be a box. Okay, 32. 64. Nice. We're going to spawn in 24 particles. It's going to be spawning them in explosive manner. Okay. I'd like to offset the animation a little bit. So everything doesn't pop up just in the same frame. Scale, we're actually going to give it a curve. Lifespan for maybe 1.5 seconds. Spawn. Why is it different? Velocity. Okay. Spread. All directions. Maybe we'll just do -1, 0. Sure. Can we give a randomness? Okay. Let's make the rotation be random. Okay, maybe we can tone down the amount. And let's also randomize the scale. Okay, that's very obvious that it's twice as big because the pixels are twice as big. You know what? I don't like them jumping up. Yeah, let's do that. $50, $50. Yes, okay. Painting, damage, particles. Okay, we're gonna set this as a main scene, or root. Delete all this nonsense. Attach a script. Create, okay. First of all, it is one shot. Second of all, emitting becomes true. And third of all, the lovely new signal they've given us when the particle is done, cue free. Save the object. Okay, so now we go to key prompt. Yes. So we're going to place it somewhere around here because that's where the painting is. To be honest, I should have just done the painting as the key prompt object, but we are kind of improvising this. Oh, I see a comment. Yvonne, is it? Javin? Good day. Let's do node 2D. Okay, part spawn. Okay, we have the damage right here. Var new splinters. We need to preload them, of course. Painting damage. Oh, why can't we instantiate it? I think I loaded the script, that's why. Nope, it's a picture. Okay. Painting damage, nope. Painting damage particles scene. There we go, that's what I need. Okay, instantiate. Get parent. Oh, okay. we might want to get owner or get tree. Current scene, add child, new splinters. New splinters dot global position is going to be set to this part spawn global position. Okay, and then the rest should handle itself. Okay. B. Nice. A little bit of feedback goes a long way. Bam. Okay. And then this, yeah. All right. So that looks good. We need to teach the players about the fact that they can give each other items. They can throw them. Like if you have a pistol and there's a bunch of pistol ammo, you can just press the left button, left shoulder button, and it will drop a little bit of ammo for that player. Interesting. Well, I mean, what else is left here? I'm gonna do a quick little thing. Tutorial key prompt sprite. Okay. I'm gonna attach scripts. Yep. We are going to make a key dictionary. Let's call it interact, like this. And interact will have different keys based if it's a keyboard or mouse. So we have RMB and RB. Okay, now save this. Where's the project with the prompts? There we go. Okay. I'm going to make another one. Actually, I'm just going to duplicate. Duplicate? Yes. Arrow down. Okay. Export layers. PNG, adjust, ignore. Groups as layers, even though we don't have any groups here. Select, output. Engine, sprites, and this is prompts. Would it be here? Would it be UI? It would be UI. Okay. All right. So we'll take this arrow, point it down here. This sprite. Just gonna assign this here. Okay. Save the object. It's a UI thing, technically, even though it's gonna exist in the level. And bounce 0.0. This is gonna be bounce time actually. Func process var bounce equals sine bounce time. Bounce time has to increase constantly. Now, we're going to make arrow position on the y-axis equals to sine. Sorry, no, we're going to do just bounce, but we're going to do ABS. We need to make it bounce upwards, so it's got to be negative. Absolute value, so it's always going to be positive, even if it's negative. Okay. Just because we haven't actually told the player that we can use key prompt, tutorial key prompt, that we can use melee to deal with this thing. As a matter of fact, I'm just going to position it right here where we can test it right away. Okay, I see it bouncing. It's a little fast. So let's do more like 5. Let's multiply that by 10. Nice. And we're going to do the same thing to the other sprite called key. But we're going to recalculate the bounce here. Key bounce. So we just want to offset it plus a little bit of time offset. Okay, now let me just figure something out. So graphing calculator. So if we do sine x, so it starts at 0 and then it goes up, then down, which at this point it will be pi, and then down, up. So it's 2 pi. So it takes 2 pi's in order for it to do a full revolution, up and down, up and down. So this here would be up, down, up, down. So this would be 4 pi. Or here, 4 pi. Okay. So technically, if I want to make one bounce be offset by a little bit, I just have to do sine x minus pi. And then it's off. Maybe we can do plus pi. So we add pi to it, and that makes it be a little bit off. Okay, so plus pi. We'll do that. Now we don't want to do a same variable. So that should give us both of them. Okay. Interesting. They're still bouncing at the same time. Which is odd. Shouldn't be off by a little bit. What if we do this? No, it's still the same. Okay, well that's weird. That should not be the case. Should be bounce 2 here as well. But it's still. The time is the same, sure, but we're adding pi to it. This is really weird. It's bouncing at the same exact time. Hold on. Why is this? What the heck? Hold on. Oh, that's not how you add pi. Hold on, I'm a flippin' idiot. That's how you add pi in code. How do you get pi here? Okay. Just copy that symbol. Yes, okay. So if we just add pi, it inverts it immediately. So if I divide it by 2, then it should offset it. Oh, right. That makes sense because there we go. It makes sense because when you add pi, as you can see, it flips it immediately. So it flips it downwards. It becomes a opposite. But because we used ABS, which made it an absolute value, as you can see, it basically flipped any negatives became positives. And that's why it basically made the bounce be exactly the same. Okay, so if I do it divided by 4, that is going to, there we go. Okay, can I do divided by 8? Just bring the bounce closer. What if I subtract pi? Interesting. So that looks good. We're just gonna add, add 64 or 32 to it to offset it. Yeah, cool. Except we need to do the opposite thing. Or do we? Key. Key is this thing. It is negative to make it go. Since when? Yeah, okay, got it. Negative 32. Nice. That's good. Can we see what would happen if we do half scale? It's legible, I think. I just need to make prompts that are smaller. Okay. Can I add to it? Trying to find the phase that works. You know what? Sure. 8's enough. Yeah, that works. We need to make the prompt be placed in the object. Let's see, key prompt. Okay, so I'm thinking place this right here, or maybe even place it in the switch, because we're never gonna interact with it again, or never really use this prompt again. and then have it disappear once we interact with the switch lever. Okay. It's either that or just make it disappear. Let's see. Right mouse button. Nice. See, it's a little close to the edge of the screen. We had an area node here. There we go. It ran a function. And then it told the camera to snap the position of cam snap point vending. Okay, so where's this node? There it is. So I'm gonna lift this up just a little bit so that those switches would be more in view. Man, making tutorials just takes so much time. Okay. Am I seeing something at the corner there? I'm seeing like a number appear there for a second. Okay. 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 Well, what else do we need to teach the players? Whacking is how you interact with stuff. We haven't really told them about it, although we did tell them here. Hmm. Mm-hmm. Might give this player a bit more room to work with. Okay. I like how this gate is actually brighter than this one. The classic game trope. If it's a different color, that means it's a secret. Or the fact that you can interact with it. I am gonna do something here though. Whoops. This one's just floating. You know, I must admit, um, uploading videos, like little progress reports, have been the sole most productive way of bringing in new eyes onto my projects. Like streaming hasn't done squat in terms of just spreading the knowledge, so to speak. Which is why there isn't really much point in me streaming, to be honest, despite of how many automated promotion encouragement emails Google sends me. Usually do it for the company, but can't expect people to show up every time, especially when you haven't streamed for a while. So maybe update videos would be a wiser way of spending my time. Plus, I'm not gonna lie, before when I have some ideas that I want to work on a project, the moment I realize, okay, I should probably turn on the stream, it actually becomes a weighted factor of whether or not I should get to work. Like, if okay, I have an idea, I gotta put it together, but I gotta stream if I do that, so maybe I'll just doom scroll for a couple of hours. Um, so I don't know. Like again, maybe it's just the antisocial introvert stuff happening, but I legit kind of think to myself, if I have to go on stream, then maybe I don't. Okay, this is gate, right? There we go. Oh, I think there's an actual name. Just gate underscore. Nice. Okay, that reads a little bit better. Okay. So what should we do here? Should I just take this island and lift it up here? Make a secondary one, disable the collision shape? And then maybe have it be constricted and flow into a single tunnel. Secret tunnel. Okay, extra floor. It's got sprites there, sure. Final floor. Final floor to Z. There you go. Okay. that. Wait. Final floor, yes. So do something like this. Maybe we can place a couple of small tutorials along the way. Okay. Static body. Collision polygon. Okay, I don't have to do this as one single shape. Mm-hmm. Okay. So the position of this is already here in the right place, 0, 0. So we're going to do 256. We're going to set... No, we're not going to set the modulate here. We're going to do it in code. So it did it for all the paths. And then final floor, modulate, color black. Cool. Now, when we deposit all of the bricks, let's see, disable island collision, portrait destroyed, start reveal, break text, lightning strike. No, it's gonna be in the process then. Make sure all players have installed the pedestals. There we go. So this part where we disable the collision shape at the bottom, we'll do that by the time the second platform is finished moving up. So create tween property on final floor. Global position. It's going to be vector 2, 0, 0. And the duration is going to be over the course of, let's do 3 seconds. Then, when it's done, tween callback on this node. Actually, it will have to be tween property because we're adjusting a property here. So this node, the property is going to be disabled. Final value true. And duration is just, I don't know if we're supposed to put any number except for 0. I guess we'll see. Oh yeah, and also another thing. In parallel, we have to also do modulate. Has to be to color white over the course of 3 seconds. What's happening here? White. All caps. It's a constant. Okay, let's give it a test. B. There we are. Ooh. Perhaps we should purge so that we can't make more than one cube. Also, when we're close to the edge of the screen, it should really switch to the other side. There we go. Mm-hmm. 3 seconds is a bit much. And... okay. And this collision did not go away. Zone 2 exit border. Disabled becomes true. Let me double check something. Static body. Collision shape. I think it has a method we can use. Disabled. Set disabled. But we have to provide the value to it. Okay. Which I believe we can. Let's see. So do tween callback. But the callable has to be given here. Okay, this right here should be working by itself. Can we give it 0 seconds? Property, duration, span equal time, duration in seconds. We could go the more extreme route. We could tell them to run... oh, it's not a property. Okay, we're going to do something extreme. Which isn't really extreme. Tween callback. We're going to generate a new callable on this object. The method is queue free. And then that's it. So callback guarantees to run at the end. This is the object, and this is the function. Okay. And we should be able to see it disappear with visible collision shapes. Okay. Uh-huh. Okay, so that was 3 seconds. Why did that take so long, though? Let's do 2 seconds. And this one's going to be 3 seconds. No, this one has to be 1 second, but set delay to 1 second so that it only starts becoming bright in the last second of movement. The callback worked though. That's good. There we go. Uh-huh. Okay. Still too fast. Let's do over the course of 2 seconds or even 3 seconds, but the delay is going to be 1.5 seconds. It still seems really weird that the interpolation almost seems like it already comes with default ease out. All right. Little fine tunings. No big deal. Come on. Okay. That works. That's just pretty cool, actually. Okay, and at the bottom here, we can set up like a set of stairs. Yeah, you know what? We could probably end the tutorial right here. We'll set up a set of stairs, and then when all the players are at the stairs, this will transition to the top of the main level, and it will look like a crypt. It'll look like a crypt exit, underground crypt exit. And that's where the players are going to come out of. We can set up some little extra tutorials here, you know, mainly like written tutorials. Cool. But I think we'll worry about that next time. I think I'll wrap it up here. Okay, cool beans. Thanks, fellas.